Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Donald J. Brower, Garden State HS Wrestling, bringing you my new version of the podcast. We're going to call it Near Fall. It's a different kind of podcast I want to do. I know we've been doing the ones for the last couple of years, but I feel like we were kind of like talking at people, so I kind of want to try to show something, a new format, make it a little more interactive, have some questions, some polls, some interviews, go on location a little more. I want to kind of get everybody's opinion on stuff. I want to start a new segment, kind of like a Mount Rushmore of each team, kind of see who the top wrestlers are. Um, I also want to kind of do more, in addition to Morris and Sussex, a little more Hunter and Warren, because I think there's been some teams that, we've kind of forgot and, that we don't want to have a problem with. So, I mean, there's some really good teams out here, and we're actually on location at North Hunterdon. I'm going to be interviewing their coach on their group championship, but let me jump right into it, talk a little bit about our final top 10. We'll get that out of the way. My first in was Sparta, 16 and 11. Number 10, Mount Morris Knowles, 16 and 5. I broke the tie with the next team, West Morris, 12 and 11. Mount Olive beat them, common opponent. Mount Olive beat West Morris by 22, beat Morris Knowles by 30 and 40. So that's kind of how I broke that. Then we had the Kittatinny, 14 and 6. Jefferson, 18 and 7. They had a loss to Newton early, but I kind of threw that out after they beat West Morris. I did the same with Mendham, an early season loss to Sparta, 14 and 6. And then the top 5 teams, all who were down in Toms River this past weekend. Mount Olive, who actually lost at North Hunterdon in the semis, but all 3 were the top 20 teams. Montville, who is the Group 3 champion, 2 losses to Delbarton and Pope John. Pope John, number 3. High Point, the Group 2 champion, number 2. And the team that should be number 1 in our poll a little later this week, as well as top 10 nationally, Delbarton, 18 and 3. And they've only losses with the 3 national teams. We were talking a little bit about the groups. As we said, Delbarton goes down there, wins their non-public A, beats St. Augustine 54-7. Pope John goes down, wins this non-public B North, loses, unfortunately, Camden Catholic 51-15 in the final. Congratulations to Delaware Valley for making the Group 1 final, but they lose to Paulsboro 50-9. And then a couple other teams that went down there and went. High Point, like I said, won the Group 2 championship over West Deptford. Montville beating West Essex in the Group 3 finals, having beaten them twice in the last 3 weeks. Mount Olive, who lost to North Hunterdon 40-13, but that team's on the way up. And special congratulations to Coach Smythe, who got his 300th win Friday at the sectional final at home. And then the team we're going to talk, as a coach we're going to talk to, North Hunterdon, who beat Kingsway 34-22, capping off the first undefeated season in Hunterdon County since 1987, and the top public school team. Coach Runka, welcome. Talk about this team, just kind of what this squad's been. I know we talked in the beginning of the year kind of how everybody would come together, but just how you feel the team gelled and when you felt they were kind of do this.
Well, I mean, this group of kids, they're like family. They're like brothers. They hang out all the time. They're really close knit group. They're good friends. We give them a day off. They're typically spend it together. So the great thing about this team is that they just want to fight for each other. They're going to fight for the man next to them. And, when things get tough, there's always somebody else there to step up and make a big play for everybody else. It's not just one guy that you constantly go back to or a couple of guys you're constantly relying on. If a team is solid in the upper weights, we got good lower weights and good middle weights that pick up the slack. So there's never a spot where someone isn't ready to make a big statement win.
Now, this team, like you said, came together, and there's always a debate when it comes to rankings. You guys are the top undefeated public school in the state. There's obviously some parochials that have advantages, I'll just say. But for you guys to be a homegrown team and have that undefeated, how do you feel you rank it? Will this change going forward of you booking matches against some of those parochials, or do you kind of like what you're doing here on your own?
I kind of like what we're doing. I mean, I can't hard to say we didn't make some right calls this year. But yeah, I mean, the parochials, they're all-star teams. I mean, they're all-star teams, and the hard thing, or the thing about scheduling some of them, is you risk, okay, well, you schedule them, and now are they going to start coming out and trying to poach your kids because they see how tough you got all these tough kids that you've been working to develop for years and years. So I mean, we typically at North Hunterdon have never really scheduled many, if any, parochials. I don't plan on changing that. I don't like the feel of people coming out and trying to recruit kids when you've been developing them since they were 6, 7 years old, and your community's been developing them and putting this time, effort, money, into these kids. It just doesn't seem right to me.
Talking about the community, a big community backing here. Obviously, I'm friends with you on Facebook, so I saw the Facebook Live video of the police escort and the lights. Talk about how this community's kind of come behind this team, because you said it is a community, and it just seems like everybody was out supporting it, and how they've done for this program.
The community is huge for us at North. I mean, these parents and these kids and all the people in our wrestling club, we pull in here after winning the groups, and half of our grade school team is here, and our Northwest team, and all our little guys are here, cheering the bus on, and they're here with banners, and they're all excited. And it truly is a K, we call it a K through 12 program, because our wrestling club supports from the time they're in kindergarten straight through when they graduate high school. They're a part of that. Our wrestling club pays for a lot of stuff for our off-season training as high schoolers, and they take care of them, get them off-season singlets, get them off-season things. They go pay for their tournaments, reimburse parents for travel expenses. They do tons of stuff. The community is just so supportive, and that's one of the reasons we've been able to be as successful as we are. We have a really good culture. Parents buy in. They trust the coaches from when they're, in kindergarten, first, second grade through high school, and we don't get a lot of issues with parents like some places do. They trust the process.
Now, the one thing about the process, too, is when you look at some of these schools, you see the guys who are favored at a weight going down the states individually and, or can get down. I think you may have some guys who have a chance to get on podium, but I think you're one of the few teams where there's not a guy you can go and look, hey, he's going to be doing something in the States. It's almost a complete team effort. Talk about just how rare that is, because usually there's always one or two of those anchors, and you just seem to have different guys step it up, whether it's, Fawcett or Gaboro up top or some of the younger guys. It just always seems to be a different guy each match that sort of sets the tone. And how is that as a coach to kind of deal with not knowing, hey, am I going to get a really good effort up top, down low, in the middle, or is it just fun to kind of watch?
Well, I think it's fun to watch because it gives, and the kids know it, and it gives each kid an opportunity to be the hero in a big match. And that's kind of what we were saying before, is there's always an opportunity for someone else to step up big. They're all capable of beating good kids, beating state caliber kids. Most of them have done it at least once during the year. They've beaten a state qualifier, a kid who's won a couple matches at states, here or there in a big spot. Sometimes bonus them, just because they wrestle hard for 6 minutes. And it's nice because we don't have that kid, the others kind of know that this could be up to me. Like this match could be me. They don't have that kid to fall back on. Oh, well, he's going to pin, he's going to pin, so it's okay if I don't. We have those bonus points coming from this kid or that kid. And every team we went against this year, it seemed like that was, a top 20 or better team, which was a lot of them. They all had a couple of those kids. And even when those kids wrestled our guys, we might not beat every one of those kids, but we gave them fits. We held them to regular decisions at the worst of major. We didn't roll over for many kids. And third period, some of these kids are looking at the score and they're up by maybe 3 or 4 points. And they're like, what the heck? I'm in a dogfight here. I thought I should be rolling through this kid. And that's just the way our team is built, that they're going to fight every kid, whether they're good or not. They'll pin the kids who aren't good, and the best kid, they'll take them and make it a dogfight.
Now, what do you look at for the future program? I know you lose a few seniors. Just kind of how you see going next year, because once again, you're in a tough division where it's you and Pembroke always in an annual fight. And it's always been a fight here, because I think it was a couple of years ago where when they broke up the divisions, it was you, Warren Hills, Voorhees, Delval, Boundbrook, and it was Hunter and Central. It was such. So you still have that Pembroke. How do you look at the team going forward? 'Cause even with the seniors, you still have a couple guys coming in, but how do you see you going forward from this and building off this success?
I think we have a chance to be pretty tough again next year. We bring back a lot of guys. We lose 5 seniors, but we fill in pretty good in our upper weights. We lose Gaburo and Fawcett, who are both been key guys up top for us, but we got a couple guys behind them that have both wrestled 30-ish, maybe more varsity matches over the last 2 years. Combined, they probably wrestled 40-something varsity matches. for two guys that can fill in, and they're ready to go. You know, a couple of them, we got them in some varsity level tournaments this year, and they both placed. You know, they're capable of winning some matches with, you know, Schultz and Franklin up there. So they're both really capable wrestlers. So we kind of can. I don't want to say we can replace them because those guys are really big, but you know, we can fill that gap, I think, pretty well. And as everyone else continues to develop up there, it's only going to get stronger there. And then in the middle will be tough. You know, we lose our 38, 45, 52 pounder right in a row. That's a tough 3 weights to lose, but we have guys behind them again that we got a lot of varsity experience for those kids this year. We were able to against some teams that, you know, we thought we could handle. So we got a lot of those backups in, knowing that we were going to need them next year. And they had a ton of success with it. You know, most of those guys had winning records on varsity wrestling, you know, 7 or 8 varsity matches. They won, you know, 5 or 6 of them. So, you know, we'll work in the summer. We'll get ready in the off season, and hopefully next year they step in and fill those spots.
Hopefully this is a nice run of big things. Because I know being a former alumni of Warren Hills, it's nice to always go down the road, you know, win and still be in the area and bring a championship home. So from one blue streak to another, congratulations. Thanks for the time, Coach.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Good luck in districts and regions. I'm sure we'll be hearing more from North Hunterdon.
Thank you.
And we're back. Thanks to Coach Haranka for the time. I know it's busy district week, getting everything going, coming off a championship. You know, so it's that afterglow of winning a championship and getting that huge return home from all the state police that guided them in from 78. I want to turn my attention to those districts. Spread out districts this year. I mean, with the reworking and everything, it actually leads me into my first question. I know a couple people had talked about sending in questions, and we had posted, you know, send me a message and email so we could do it at admin@morriscountyhswrestling.com or hashtag Ask the Morris County Wrestling Guy. The first one is my thoughts on districts and regions from Dave in Roxbury. He asked, what are my thoughts on the new districts compared to the last few years and the debate on how they're constructed? Thanks for the question, Dave. I look at it like this. I think it's strange because you've been so used to everybody going to the same area, the same district, the same region and such, that there was like a camaraderie. It was almost like a high school reunion of teams you didn't get to see a lot, but were in the local area and you knew you were going to wrestle the best. I know especially the question I always had was at Wallkill Valley, or the old Region 1. I had always asked why they had that there when they only had 2 mats. And that was actually, I was told, the most money-making region for the state because every team locally came together and made it a great time. And you enjoyed it. You saw the same old people. I actually wrestled for Warren Hills, and we went up to regions up there. I was never that good. Excuse me. But like we went there, and the same fans who came and watched us wrestle were there when I was covering it for the Star Ledger in 2010, 2011. So it was nice to see those same people. I think people get hung up on the district and regions. Regions so you could keep the name, but I almost wonder if you would change the names to qualifiers, if that would help get over the fact that it's not really a district when you have like a North Hunterdon traveling to Red Bank or a Warren Hills traveling over to, I think, Livingston. And it's just a really strange, you know, crisscross of the state. But I understand what they're trying to do. But I prefer the old way. I prefer going to Old Morristown and watching Hanover Park, Whippany Park, Parsippany, Par Hills, Del Barton. And it was always nice when there was something close. So, for example, if a guy made a nice little run, it wasn't an hour and a half trek to go see him in the next round. You could just drive over and catch it. And I always noticed at Morristown, when local guys were in the finals and a chance, the gym would fill up more, just people coming to check it out. So yeah, that's one. And then I'll talk a little bit about more districts, but there's one more question I want to answer from somebody. It's called Perplexed in Pompton Lakes, and there was a question about what happens when there's a 3-way tie in the championships or for the conference. And the one thing that I noticed is this happened last year with Voorhees, Delaware Valley and Warren Hills, and it happened this year in the Liberty Division with Hanover Park, Whippany Park, and Pequannock, where they each beat each other, and there's a round robin. What actually happens is each team's a tri-champion. There's no way to really break the tie. I'm sure if you wanted to go into head-to-head matchups against a common opponent and breaking it down that way, but essentially they'll send a championship plaque to each team, and that's kind of how it'll go. There'll be 3 champions in a 5-team division, which that's a whole other thing. I'll talk to that in the future about how I think the conference should actually be a little bit weightier when it comes to the divisions. Like 5 teams, I don't know if that's really the best way to go. You kind of want to have your best against the best, and I know they kind of in the NJAC they put all the good teams in the American, all the top teams, not good, but top. I apologize if anybody's offended because if you're not in the American division, but the Del Bartons, the Pope Johns, those teams, they have them all in one division. I don't know why you can't make it 5 teams of 7. It's just strange to me. But heading towards districts, couple districts that pop out, I'll just run through. I think when you look at the champions, High Point should take District 1. Pope John, District 2. District 3 is Kittatinny. I like those 3 to come out of there team-wise. District 4 is a little lower open for me. I could see Butler, Don Bosco, and I keep an eye on Sparta. Sparta be the one. They got some really good kids in the Stewart brothers. I think they can make a run in advance. See if they rack up enough team points. Number 5, Mount Olive or West Essex. That's actually going to be a good battle. I really like both those squads. So it'd be interesting to see who comes out on top. Number 6, I think Montville takes it. District 7, I think Bergen Catholic takes it. District 8, I like Jefferson. District 9, Del Barton by far. District 10, I like Hanover Park. District 11, I look at a couple teams. I think Caldwell, Hackettstown, Mendham, and Whippany Park all have a shot. It just depends on the seeding and who advances where, but I can see one of those 4. District 12, it's either Warren Hills or West Morris to me. And kudos to West Morris. You were talking before about West Essex and such. They gave West Oaks all they could handle. Went to Criteria the other day on Friday in the sectional. I thought they had it, but they win on Criteria. West Morris loses. West Essex advances. But I look for them to have a great showing in districts. District 13 is Peaburg. District 14, wide open. I mean, I don't know if there's a favorite in that district. District 15, I like Bound Brook or Ridge. Heading to District 18, Hunterdon Central. I think they take that. And District 20, I like North Hunterdon. I think they're going to do a great job. And like I said, I think it's going to be an interesting. But I hope you guys like the new format of kind of what I'm doing. This is the kind of like a tease before we start to do this next season. I kind of call this a soft opening on the podcast. This is like a soft opening. We'll see what we can work on for next time. But I hope you like it. We want to make it more interactive. Like I said, I want this podcast to bring in the debates and everything we see, like you see on the forums, like who's best, this one, Jordan, James, Cope, in basketball terms, but who are the best wrestlers? And I want your opinions. I don't want to just talk at you. I want you to tell me. So any feedback, tweet me, email me, send me any messages. We would love to have you involved, and I want to set it up next year. We have a weekly interview. We're on location. And bring it back to what it was. It's your sport, not mine. It's ours altogether. So thank you for listening. This is Donald J. Brower. I'll talk to you next time.